Okay, hi Cliff. I'm going to go through your swim video analysis. Hopefully there's some quite interesting stuff in here actually. I think you will find it quite interesting. I won't go over too much of what we went over in the session, but what I want to do is pick out the key things that the slow-mo video really shows us, and they're things that you can start to think about, start to do some drills to correct those. So if we get going, so we start off from a side view. Okay, so you're pushing off. And see here, so a nice push off. Okay, we see the push off. You're starting off quite interestingly with your hands higher than your elbows. So at all times, it's really good to get into that discipline of keeping the fingertips pointing down. So it might sound like I'm being a bit pedantic, but you just get into good habits. Okay, so nice body position, good push off, a good straight line. So you're trying to get the pull going there. You can see the bubbles from where you're exhaling. So that's all nice. But here we see that your legs are starting to come into play. And what we get is, unfortunately, we get that kind of drop in the body position, and we get that right leg starting to kick out with the ankle and the foot pointing up. So as you move through, you start to get that drop in the body. You can see here you're pushing right down as you breathe. So with your left arm, you're pushing really hard down to get that breath. And what you'll see is also that right leg, because you're pushing down on the arm, that'll be stabilizing. What you also see, so all those bubbles, is just shows that you're missing the catch a little bit. We talked a bit about catch during the session, but it means that you're not really quite getting the catch. And you've got very little to stabilise your swim in the front quarter, or what we call the front quadrant of the stroke. So if you imagine you split yourself into 4 sections, they're a bit rudimentary here. But they're very rudimentary, but you're really losing the hand. You want your hand to be sort of out here somewhere. So if we keep going, so look, watch that hand. So your hand has left the front quadrant and the other hand still hasn't entered. And what you have is that real kind of kicking out with the other legs to try and stabilise the body. So your hand doesn't actually enter the water until now. So what you see is your body at the back end is really trying to compensate for that lack of balance at the front. So we want to keep that arm stretched out a little bit longer without dropping it, so that as that arm then comes through to the end of the first quadrant, the other one's already in. Okay, so we keep going, keep looking. So good exhaling, pushing down, same sort of issue. So you see that leg is just kicking out, almost like a bit of a breaststroke kick. And we'll see a few more reasons for that, but a lot of it is kind of stability at the front end. So taking your breath again. So with the right arm, you push down, 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 down. The arm is completely gone, completely gone. So there's nothing in that front quadrant at all to stabilize the body. So that's why here your foot has to kick out again. And finally, oh look, you still, so you've got nothing supporting your head at the moment, and look at that leg, really kicking back. And finally, your arm comes in. So your right arm is nearly all the way through back to your hip before the left arm's entered. So there's absolutely no stability at the front of the stroke, which is why your legs are doing what they're doing. Okay, and then you get back into it. So really it's your breathing where it all starts to kind of become a little bit messy. So see from the outside, nice high elbow, little bit of a flat entry. Your elbow and your hand are entering the water around about the same time. We talked about sort of spearing down the ski slope to that kind of catch point, which I know you're going to work on. But you can see that it's a bit of a flat entry. And then on the other side, slightly better angle there, so you're actually getting, it's a little bit, so your elbow's here and your hand's there, so you've got a better angle on the right than on the left. Okay, and then have another look at your left. Nice high elbow, but then your elbow kind of collapses in, so you want to kind of really spear down. Let's have a look at that other arm. A little bit sharper. Now let's have a look at the breath. So we know now that you're losing that front arm. Okay, so your head's coming right out of the water, and you're really having to fight to get that breath because there's nothing in the front, at the front quadrant, that's supporting you. So one of the drills that I'd recommend for working on that is bubble bubble straight, or bubble bubble stretch. So you do the bubble bubble breathe drill, which I can send you some details of, but as you breathe you ensure that you get your ear on your shoulder and you keep your arm out nice and straight rather than letting it push down to get the head up. Right, let's have another look at a different angle now. Okay, rather unfortunate, sorry, hang on, there we go. So let you push off. Now there was one bit here that I wanted to just show you as you push off the wall. Okay, I want you just to have a little look at your ankles. Okay, so that is you pushed off the wall, ostensibly in a stretched out streamlined position. And what we want to really work on is getting that straight line from the knee down, so that your feet, your toes are sort of the end of my line there, rather than down here. So we really need to work on that ankle flexibility. It will really lift up the legs, and if you can, as you push off, try and tuck your chin in a little bit, and then you'll get that really good body position to start off every length. And although I know there's no balls in open water, it does help. Now you see already we've got that kind of cycling leg going on. And then again we're taking our breath and we push, and we've lost the front arm way before the other arm comes in. So what I want to look at now is the overhead shot. Okay, so this is quite an interesting one. So we'll push off, hopefully. This is when the slow-mo doesn't work out and we're waiting at the end. Hang on, let's see if we can. Right, so push off. And as you push off, I really want you to stretch. Really think about pointing those toes, getting that line as long as you can. Okay, so okay, so the arm enters and you can see it's drifting across. So it kind of enters in line with the shoulder, but then it starts to drift across the centre line. So there is already an element of crossover and it carries on. Then as there's a crossover, you kind of snake out to one side and then you snake out to the other side. So what we see here, where the lines just come up, is your arm should be entering where the yellow line is, but actually it's entering quite a bit inside of that. So there's a crossover, and then you see your right leg kicks out to stabilise. So, and it carries on. So there is quite a crossover there. And as we saw before, there's actually nothing in that front quadrant. So we're losing the arm, and you can see already that that other leg trying to kick out to stabilise the front end. So you see that leg massively kicking out here to try and stabilise the fact that actually at the moment there's nothing in that front quadrant, nothing at all to support you. So the leg has to do all the work. Okay, so enter, and you can see that arm's coming across as it pulls. Other arm enters, crosses over, the other arm is kicking out. And then I think we're going to go to breathe. Let's see what happens when you breathe. So your arm crosses over, then you lose the arm. So you see that arm, your arm is actually about here. So you've well crossed over the line. Okay, and at the moment you've got nothing in that front quadrant again. And the leg has to kick out to try and support you. Kicks out, kicks out, kicks out. And then finally your arm comes in. So what I would also be looking at is the kind of timing of your breathing. So in my opinion, you should turn away from the arm to breathe, and then as the other arm's coming over, your head should be back in the water. So I would say you would want to be starting to breathe now rather than now. So I would breathe a good second earlier, and then you're not in that position where you've got nothing in the front quadrant and you're not having that sort of stability issue. So if we have a look now at you from a front angle, and you can see what you're doing under the water. Okay, so we get going. So again, you can see good exhaling, the arm pushing down, a little bit of a dropped elbow, I would say. Here, say right arm. Now we see again that whole pushing down with a straight arm. So we don't really want any straight arms. What we want is kind of about 100-degree angle. 100, 110. Okay, and I'll send you some pictures of what that angle should look like. Okay, so again, you've still not got your face back in the water, and you've got nothing in that front quadrant. So we see here how much of a crossover there is here. So if you imagine your arm really should be spearing to about here, and actually you're quite far over that, and you're actually past your nose. So you have really crossed over that centre line. So again, quite a straight pull, and then you get the bend a little bit late. So I would say you need to really work on the catch, because once you've got that catch, that's when that elbow should be high, whereas actually you're getting your catch much lower down, sort of under the stomach area. You see the arm went in quite flat, pushing down, see all those bubbles where you're not quite getting the catch, and then I would say you probably get the catch about there. So you're getting the catch a little bit late. Okay, and then you're turning your head to breathe. Now I would say that instead of waiting until your hand has entered before you breathe, you start the breath so if I'm breathing to my right side, for example, as my left arm comes over, I turn away from the arm. So as it enters, I'm already in my breathing position. I take my breath, and then as the other arm starts to come over, my face goes back in the water. And that's where that bubble, bubble, breathe drill is a really, really good drill. So I would say do lots of bubble, bubble, breathe. I would do lots of bubble, bubble, straight, working on keeping that arm straight out as you take your breath, and leaving the ear on the arm. I would continue with the sculling drills and the doggy paddle drills that we did, and I would really work on making sure that those toes keep tapping, because that's when you'll realise how much your legs are kicking out. So here, just pushing down, you should have your face back in the water looking straight ahead already. So you're not actually turning your face back in until the hand comes back over. So there's a few things to work on, but I think the key drills are bubble, bubble, breathe, bubble, bubble, straight, the skull drills, the doggy paddle drills, and I think making sure that you work on that crossover and keeping that arm out in front of you. So look, again, you're pushing right down, so you totally lost the arm. So hopefully that is going to be helpful advice, and based on the hour that we spent together. If you do want any more info or another swim session, I'm obviously really happy to keep helping you out. But lots of good things about stroke, but we just need to tidy up these legs and this front quadrant issue. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye.